In a world where adventurers were revered and levels determined one's worth, Ye Qing was at the bottom of the hierarchy, level 0, a mere abyss picker. His days were spent scavenging in dungeons, gathering scraps left behind by more skilled adventurers. It was a thankless job, but one that kept him alive in a society that valued strength above all else. One day, Ye Qing found himself in unfamiliar territory, a B-rank dungeon. It was his first time in such a dangerous place, and he felt the weight of his inadequacy. Armed with a battered weapon, he encountered a formidable B-rank monster. Try as he might, his attacks barely scratched the creature. He was outmatched and overwhelmed, struggling to survive. However, beneath the scornful gaze of his peers, Ye Qing harbored an indomitable spirit. With sheer determination, he landed a blow on the monster, dealing a paltry but significant damage. To understand how Ye Qing ended up in this predicament, we must rewind to his daily life. As an abyss picker, he sorted through loot from dungeon expeditions, ensuring every piece was accounted for. Failure meant severe consequences, including imprisonment, a risk he couldn't afford with his mounting debts. Years of this mundane existence were punctuated by a staggering debt of 670,000 yuan looming over him. Every day, he toiled with the sole purpose of paying off this debt, exacerbated by the exorbitant medical bills for his gravely ill sister. She needed urgent medical treatment he couldn't afford, adding urgency to his quest for money. When a lucrative job offer promising 3,000 yuan came his way, he couldn't refuse despite the danger. The money was crucial not just for himself, but to save his sister's life. Entering the B-rank dungeon with a group of seasoned adventurers, Ye Qing hoped for acceptance and camaraderie. Instead, he was met with scorn and condescension. The elite hunters made it clear he was a burden, warning him to stay out of their way if he valued his life. During their journey, Ye Qing accidentally bumps into one of the hunters, causing them to lash out at him. Despite apologizing, he's treated with disdain and left behind by the group. Unbeknownst to them, every hardship and insult fuels his determination. As he continues in the dungeon, barely surviving encounters, Ye Qing roams the dungeon hoping to earn enough experience to level up from 0 to 1. This milestone raises questions. Will this newfound strength from leveling up from 0 to 1 change his fate? Or will he remain the same weakling in the eyes of others? After hours of relentless exploration and combat, the dungeon's echoing halls finally quieted as Ye Qing and his fellow hunters gathered around the fallen monsters. They began the arduous task of collecting materials vital for their trade. Suddenly, a monster appeared before them, having evaded the other hunters. Instinctively, Ye Qing reached for a nearby staff and shield, relics of past battles lying amidst the dungeon's debris. His colleagues, gripped by fear, hesitated before fleeing, leaving Ye Qing alone to face the advancing beast. With nowhere to retreat and adrenaline coursing through his veins, Ye Qing steadied himself, eyes fixed on the creature's approaching silhouette. In the tense moments that followed, Ye Qing's mind raced. He knew his current level was insufficient to inflict any meaningful harm on such a formidable foe. Yet, instead of succumbing to fear or fleeing in futility, he saw an opportunity, a chance to transcend his limitations and advance to the next level of his abilities. With a resolute breath, Ye Qing swung the staff with all his might, aiming for the monster's vulnerable points. Despite his efforts, the blows landed weakly against the creature's hardened carapace, barely causing a ripple. His colleagues, watching from a distance, shouted warnings, urging him to retreat. They knew, as did Ye Qing himself, that his strength was inadequate to breach even the weakest monster's defenses. But rather than retreat, he saw this as his chance to level up, needing just one more point. Though his strike with the staff was futile against the monster's defenses, Ye Qing knew he had to persevere to grow stronger. Meanwhile, in a separate chamber of the dungeon, the other hunters busied themselves with collecting valuable spoils. As they were collecting the materials, they were also exchanged mocking remarks, dismissing Ye Qing and his colleagues as inept scavengers unworthy of the guild's acclaim. Suddenly, the ceiling collapsed, and Ye Qing plummeted with the monster clinging to him. In that heart-stopping moment, Ye Qing summoned every ounce of strength and resolve. Determined not to perish as a mere footnote in the annals of dungeon lore, he unleashed a primal scream, a declaration of defiance against fate's cruel hand. As he fell, Ye Qing's trembling hands found the staff's grip once more. With a desperate surge of energy, he directed its splintered end toward the creature's unblinking eye. The blow struck true, a precise strike born of sheer willpower. A critical hit, exactly the catalyst needed to propel Ye Qing from the barren fields of level 0 to the promising foothills of level 1. As Ye Qing celebrated his victory, it was, however, proved short-lived as a fellow hunter approached, his smirk laden with derision. The hunter was deriding him for defeating a low-level monster. However, a screen appeared before Ye Qing, presenting numerous job options to enhance his strength. It explained how even a level 0 member could change jobs upon reaching level 1, though gaining experience was a daunting task. Despite the hunter's mockery ringing in his ears, Ye Qing knew the true significance of this moment. For years, he had braved the dungeon's perils, risking life and limb to amass the precious experience points needed for advancement. This opportunity was not merely a chance to change jobs but a testament to his perseverance and unwavering resolve. With a mixture of trepidation and hope, Ye Qing selected the role of Scavenger, a title that, though modest, promised unique abilities and untapped potential. Yet, as he contemplated the implications of his decision, doubt gnawed at him. Would this newfound path truly lead him to the strength he so desperately sought? Turning his gaze to the fallen monster, Ye Qing noticed a peculiar message hovering above its motionless form, a prompt inviting him to recycle the creature's remains. Intrigued, he accepted without hesitation, triggering a surge of power within him. The monster's corpse disintegrated, leaving behind a mysterious card adorned with intricate runes and symbols, a repository of skills and attribute points waiting to be harnessed. Eagerly, Ye Qing attempted to absorb these newfound abilities into his being, expecting an immediate surge of strength. To his surprise, the effects were more subtle, a dormant potential awaiting activation. Confounded yet undeterred, he felt a strange energy stirring within him, a testament to the latent power he had just unlocked. Upon recovering, Ye Qing noticed more monster corpses around him, each offering skills and points for absorption. Realizing the potential of his ability, he understood it was far from weak, it could catapult him to become one of the strongest hunters in the world. Ye Qing became stronger by absorbing monsters' corpses. When he touched a spirit wolf's body, he gained a new ability called Soul Dash. But after that, eating more of the same kind of monster didn't give him new skills or as many rewards. Still, Ye Qing kept absorbing corpses until his attribute points reached 111. With plenty of points to spend, Ye Qing thought about where to put them to make himself stronger. He decided to evenly distribute the points among all his skills: strength, agility, intelligence, willpower, constitution, and luck, all set at 20 points each. Meanwhile, in another part of the dungeon, the other hunters were busy fighting monsters and collecting materials. They heard that Ye Qing had found a hidden job. They knew these hidden jobs weren't usually very valuable and were often just for fun. Their boss told them to stop talking and focus on their mission to conquer the dungeon. Hours later, they found the remains of the falcon hunting group's captain, who had been defeated within just 48 hours. Shocked by the desiccated bodies of B-rank hunters who should have easily handled low-level monsters, they suddenly found themselves surrounded by a horde, realizing too late they had been lured deeper into the dungeon. Back with Ye Qing, abandoned by his group, he seized the opportunity to absorb more corpses, steadily gaining skills and points. His efforts culminated in unlocking the Novice Scavenger's milestone, after absorbing 50 corpses, earning him rewards: a basic necklace and dagger, disappointingly weak for his level. As Ye Qing scrutinized his meager rewards, a monster lunged from behind. With newfound strength and speed from leveling up, he dodged the attack effortlessly, no longer the vulnerable novice he once was. Confident in his enhanced abilities, Ye Qing countered with a powerful attack, followed by a precise dagger strike that slew the monster. Absorbing the fallen creature's corpse, Ye Qing acquired a new passive skill, Toxic Evolution, allowing him to transform potent poisons into healing elixirs. Testing his newfound ability, he drank a poisoned potion, converting it into a healing tonic that mended his wounds instantly. Impressed, Ye Qing realized the potential of his evolving skills. Reflecting on his progress, Ye Qing decided to bolster his intelligence further, knowing it would unveil hidden insights about his foes. Despite more monsters approaching, Ye Qing no longer feared them. He welcomed the challenge, knowing that defeating more monsters would make him even stronger as a scavenger in the dungeon. On the other side of the dungeon, the hunters fought desperately for their lives against the dungeon's boss monster and its minions. Most of them had already fallen. Though the minions were reanimated corpses and of lower level than the boss, they posed a formidable challenge to the hunters. Not to mention the boss itself, a man-eating flower of immense strength. Realizing they were outmatched, some hunters attempted to retreat, but the relentless onslaught of monsters made escape nearly impossible. Panic spread among the hunters as they struggled to catch their breath between waves of attackers. The monsters proved too powerful, picking off the hunters one by one. Among them, one hunter regretted his decision to enter this deadly dungeon for quick wealth and gear. Now facing imminent death, he made a selfish choice, to sacrifice his comrades as bait to secure his own escape. When questioned by his team, he callously fled, promising to burn incense sticks in their honor once he reached safety. He ran through the dark corridors, haunted by thoughts of what could have been. In his panicked flight, he collided with Ye Qing, drawn by the sounds of battle. Ye Qing, known for his mysterious abilities, confronted the fleeing hunter. He couldn't believe the hunter would leave his friends to die. Fearing repercussions if Ye Qing reported his cowardice to the supervisory committee, the hunter decided to eliminate him. However, upon turning, he noticed a trail of slain monster corpses behind Ye Qing. Astonished, the hunters asked if Ye Qing had defeated them all, to which he affirmed. Seeing Ye Qing's strength firsthand, the hunter hesitated. He suggested Ye Qing join them to fight the monsters together, hoping to save himself from both the creatures and Ye Qing's wrath. Ye Qing, angered by the hunter's betrayal of his friends, struck out impulsively. He broke the hunter's leg, leaving him in pain and disbelief. The hunter cursed Ye Qing, but it was too late. Writhing in pain, the hunter berated Ye Qing as a trash human, demanding an explanation for the assault. Driven by memories of how hunters had treated him when he was weaker, Ye Qing used his unique ability to absorb the hunter's strength. However, the system stopped him, saying he couldn't absorb humans like monsters. Instead, it upgraded his ability, allowing him to recycle useless abilities from others with their consent. Using a magical card he found, Ye Qing gained Flame Field Control, and upgraded his Fireball to Inferno Blast, making his magic even more powerful. Excited to test his new abilities, he unleashed Inferno Blast, destroying monsters effortlessly. But the spell was so strong it disintegrated the monsters, leaving nothing to absorb, a mistake he regretted. Suddenly, an assassin-like monster attacked from behind. Ye Qing, realizing he had no melee combat skills, absorbed a fallen hunter to gain a golden shield ability. With this new defense, he defeated the assassin. After the battle, Ye Qing absorbed the assassin's body, obtaining a dagger proficiency card that granted him the ability to wield daggers with finesse, launching a storm-like stabbing attack. Activating the card, Ye Qing now possessed yet another valuable skill in his growing arsenal. Now stronger and more skilled, he prepared to face the dungeon's challenges with renewed confidence. Inside the interrogation room, men in black suits were questioning a hunter who survived a dangerous dungeon expedition. They reminded him of his mission: find the Falcon group and bring them back alive. The hunter nodded, acknowledging the task's importance. They warned him that failure to find their bodies would mean no rewards for him. He reassured them he understood, already aware of the consequences. They asked if he found the Falcon group's corpses. The hunter's answer puzzled them. He had found them, but they had been recycled. Confused, the men asked what he meant. The hunter explained that Ye Qing had somehow absorbed their abilities and skills, leaving him reduced to level 1. This was unheard of, and the men suspected he might be hallucinating due to abyssal energy contamination. But the hunter insisted it was true, adamant that Ye Qing had drained them all. Meanwhile, Ye Qing was back to exploring dungeons to earn money for himself and his sister. He had sold magic crystals he found, but the black market took a big cut due to monopoly rules. Despite barely making enough to pay off old debts, Ye Qing was cautious about revealing his unique ability to recycle others' powers. He knew if the authorities found out, he could be locked up for study. So, he resolved to keep making money quietly until he could secure his sister's future. At another location, preparations were underway for a risky raid on a new B-rank dungeon. The leader warned of unknown dangers inside, promising high rewards for those brave enough to conquer it. Only high-ranking bee hunters were allowed to join. Ye Qing, only level 1, stepped forward to ask if he could come along. The leader scoffed, calling him trash and saying he didn't belong with them. Just as it seemed Ye Qing would be left out again, Lu Xingran, a famous hunter from the powerful Lu family, intervened. She insisted Ye Qing be included to fill out their numbers. Despite objections, her family's authority over the dungeon's location gave her the final say. Relieved, Ye Qing felt grateful for her support. Ye Qing felt relieved as he exhaled deeply, but noticed Lu Xingran staring at him coldly. He wondered why she was looking at him like that until memories from 2 years ago flooded back. She had been in danger, surrounded by monsters, and he, despite being weaker, had rushed to protect her. Back then, Lu Xingran had been shocked that someone like Ye Qing, a trash picker, as she called him, could fend off dangerous beasts. During their conversation, Ye Qing had proudly celebrated his first demon kill and earned his very first experience point. Lu Xingran couldn't comprehend why he risked his life for just 1 experience point, looking at him with disbelief. He explained his ambition to level up and earn money. While she questioned his motives, Ye Qing remained focused on the valuable drops the monsters left behind, dreaming of selling them for profit. He challenged Lu Xingran's understanding of his difficult life, believing she couldn't comprehend his struggles because of her privileged background. When Lu Xingran asked him about his true reasons for wanting to level up, Ye Qing revealed his deep desire to protect his family. Touched by his sincerity, Lu Xingran promised to support him on his journey. She invited him to join her group once he improved his skills, sealing their promise with a handshake. Their conversation was interrupted by one of Lu Xingran's anxious aides, who urgently summoned her back to her father, the president. A stern bodyguard reminded Ye Qing of his status as a trash picker, and barred him from getting too close to Lu Xingran. As they left, Lu Xingran threw Ye Qing a material she had obtained from the dungeon beast, a token of gratitude for his earlier bravery. Ye Qing caught the gift with a grateful smile. He returned to his work with renewed determination, knowing he would continue to strive for strength and prosperity for the sake of his family. Back in the present moment, Ye Qing's thoughts drifted to the past, interrupted abruptly by one of the hunters approaching him. The hunter whispered that the woman Ye Qing had been watching was Lu Xingran, renowned among hunters. He was then told to focus on gathering monster materials, and Ye Qing agreed. With a stern reminder to focus on their task of gathering materials from monster drops, Ye Qing agreed wholeheartedly. Determined not to be a liability while keeping his gaze away from Lu Xingran, he received encouragement from her on his newfound resolve. She commended his mindset and urged him to prepare his gear as they readied to conquer the dungeon. All the hunters assembled and geared up meticulously. Ye Qing entered the dungeon with a newfound determination to earn money and return safely, recalling his previous dungeon exploits where he had acquired numerous skills and abilities, including Shield Warrior and Berserk abilities. His unique method of distributing attribute points ensured no skill deficiencies, amassing over 100 points in total. In that instant, Ye Qing activated his skill, Observing Eye, allowing him to look at the attributes of his fellow hunters. One stood out with a mere 12 points in strength and a mere 1 point in intelligence. By comparison, Ye Qing boasted a staggering 100 points in strength, making him at least 100 times stronger than an average person. As Ye Qing assessed their strengths, a sense of impending danger washed over him. His instincts proved true as he swiftly detected a trap, a set of walls closing in rapidly. Before the other hunters could react, Ye Qing had already dismantled the trap mechanism. The sudden noise startled the group, turning their attention to Ye Qing, who appeared visibly shaken. When questioned about the disturbance, Ye Qing attributed it to the natural reverberations of the unstable underground structures. His explanation eased their concerns momentarily, as they understood the inherent risks of exploring such hazardous dungeons. Just then, one of the hunters stumbled upon a chest and excitedly alerted the group. They gathered around the chest, eager to unlock its secrets, but their enthusiasm quickly lowered when they realized it was an A-rank chest, only accessible to skilled assassin-type hunters. Disappointment hung in the air until Ye Qing stepped forward with quiet confidence. "I can open it," Ye Qing declared calmly, catching everyone off guard. Without hesitation, he approached the chest and, with practiced finesse, swiftly unlocked it. The lid swung open effortlessly, revealing its hidden contents. The hunters stared in disbelief as Ye Qing's ability defied their expectation. One of the hunters, astonished, remarked, "Lock-picking is a skill reserved for assassins above level 5. How can a level 1 scavenger open such a chest?" Ye Qing, quick to maintain his cover, spun a tale about his extensive experience scavenging dungeons, often encountering locked chests amidst the debris. He explained that over time, he had learned various skills out of necessity, including the art of picking locks. Impressed with what he did, the hunters accepted Ye Qing's explanation, and the focus shifted to exploring further into the dungeon. As they ventured deeper, Ye Qing's keen intuition once again proved invaluable. Sensing something amiss, Ye Qing abruptly halted the group and instructed a puzzled female hunter to stop. He grabbed a nearby stone and tossed it ahead. In an instant, the trap sprang to life. Walls lined with lethal spikes closed in, poised to impale anyone in their path. Ye Qing's swift action had averted catastrophe, saving the group from certain peril. Despite the narrow escape, the female hunter couldn't suppress her curiosity and wondered if Ye Qing was actually a level 1 hunter. Ye Qing responded calmly and told her not to overthink it, as he had dealt with these kind of traps many times in countless dungeons while scavenging, so it was natural for him to notice the traps. His nonchalant explanation convinced everyone except Lu Xingran, who remained cautious and observant, withholding her full trust. Nonetheless, the others respected Ye Qing's quick thinking and resourcefulness. Impressed by his skill, one of the hunters offered Ye Qing a modest ability as a token of appreciation. Despite this, some hunters still doubted his true abilities, but they agreed to move forward cautiously. After exploring for some time, they stumbled upon a hidden treasure room. The discovery sparked excitement among the hunters, who speculated about the riches it might hold. One of them suggested it could be a peaceful reward room, free from monsters. At the heart of the room sat a peculiar setup, a cup brimming with crimson liquid and a stone tablet inscribed with cryptic symbols. One of the hunters picked up the tablet, attempting to decipher its meaning. However, Lu Xingran, ever vigilant, warned them not to let their guard down. Her instincts proved right when the liquid began to spill from the cup, triggering a sudden announcement: the blood trial had begun. Panic seized the group as the room transformed into a trap, spawning the menacing, blood nightmare, before their eyes. Lu Xingran swiftly took charge, rallying the hunters for battle against the onslaught of monsters. Despite being surrounded, she led with determination, her skills tested to their limits. Meanwhile, amidst the chaos, Ye Qing remained remarkably composed. His mind raced with calculations, not of strategy against the monsters, but of how best to conceal his true abilities. Aware that revealing his full strength could raise suspicions among the hunters, he made a calculated decision. Quietly activating the Ring of Weakness, a seemingly harmless artifact that allowed him to suppress his attributes, Ye Qing chose to fight at only a quarter of his true power. It was a risky gambit, but he was determined to maintain the facade of a novice hunter. Even with his powers dampened, Ye Qing's agility and precision were unmatched. Using his Spirit Dash ability, he swiftly dispatched several monsters with precise strikes, earning surprised glances from his companions. Lu Xingran, amidst the chaos, couldn't help but notice Ye Qing's exceptional skill. Each move he made seemed deliberate and efficient, far beyond what his level would suggest. She filed away her observations for later consideration, focused on the pressing danger at hand. The monsters, cunning and adaptive, began to take on forms resembling the hunters themselves. Their ability to mimic and strengthen themselves based on their opponent's attributes made them formidable adversaries. In the heat of battle, one of the hunters suffered a severe injury, his arm torn by a monstrous version of himself. Just as the creature poised to deliver a fatal blow, Lu Xingran intervened with a swift and decisive strike, saving her comrade and dispatching the monster with lethal precision. Frustrated by the hunter's struggles against what she deemed inferior foes, Lu Xingran scolded them sternly, telling them that she did not enter the dungeon together with them just so she could rescue them when they were in trouble. She told them to pull themselves together and also told them that the opponents was not a true test of their strength. Despite her leadership, the situation grew dire as more monsters flooded into the chamber. Sensing an opportunity to turn the tide, Ye Qing took charge once more. Positioning himself protectively in front of his fellow hunters, he unleashed a powerful, Great Flame Explosion, a spell of remarkable potency for his supposed level. The hunters watched in awe and disbelief as the spell engulfed a cluster of monsters, reducing them to ash in seconds. Murmurs of disbelief and confusion spread among them as they could not believe that a level 1 hunter could wield such devastating magic. Seizing the moment, Ye Qing followed up with Shock, immobilizing the remaining monsters, and then activated Berserk, enhancing his speed and strength to swiftly dispatch those before him. In the midst of the chaos, a monstrous form emerged, one that bore striking similarities to Ye Qing himself. It was a king-level monster, infused with attributes absorbed from Ye Qing during their brief encounter. Realizing the danger of facing an enemy so closely mirroring his abilities, Ye Qing braced himself for a grueling battle of wits and strength. Just as he prepared to engage the monster, Lu Xingran stepped forward, her eyes blazing with determination. She told Ye Qing to step aside and that she would be the one to handle this. Her voice carried a rare intensity, born of ambition and a personal quest to conquer the deepest levels of the Tower of the End. Failure here would mean more than defeat, it would shatter her aspirations and familial expectations. Summoning all her strength, Lu Xingran unleashed a devastating, comet strike, aiming to shatter the monster's defenses. Ye Qing, witnessing her formidable display, felt a newfound respect for her abilities, impressed by her determination and skill. Despite her powerful attack, the monster stood unharmed before Lu Xingran. She couldn't believe her strength didn't affect it. Even though she was an S-class hunter, she always felt inferior to her older siblings who shared her surname, Lu. She had been mocked and laughed at by her family from the start, so she was determined to become stronger, even if it meant starting from scratch. Each challenge she faced was a stepping stone towards surpassing her limitations, a journey she undertook alone to forge her own path to strength. Determined now more than ever, Lu Xingran unleashed another relentless assault on the monster, pouring all her might into the attack. Yet, her fierce determination could not compensate for her current lack of strength, and she found herself overmatched by the relentless creature. The other hunters watched in astonishment as the beast dominated Lu Xingran, their fears growing that this could spell the end for them all. If even Lu Xingran, their strongest member, could be overpowered, what hope did they have? Seeing Lu Xingran struggling, Ye Qing made a decision to intervene, rushing forward to aid her. Despite her injuries, Lu Xingran couldn't help but feel a mix of frustration and gratitude towards Ye Qing for interfering in her battle. Ye Qing activated his observing eye ability to examine the monstrous creature for any weaknesses. Being at king level, the monster had developed resistance to abnormal conditions. At such high levels, it could even become completely immune to freezing, dizziness, paralysis, and slowness. Weak spots that were once vulnerabilities no longer posed any advantage as its level increased. Realizing this, Ye Qing decided to unleash his full potential, activating all his attributes. Despite matching the monster in strength, he found it immensely challenging to bring it down. Every part of its body he destroyed swiftly regenerated and no apparent weakness could be found. Suddenly, Ye Qing noticed a strange behavior in the monster, as if it were under some form of external control. Recalling a stone tablet with inscriptions that might hold the key to defeating the creature, Ye Qing urgently shouted to a nearby hunter to kick the tablet over to him. Responding swiftly, the hunter sent the tablet sliding towards Ye Qing. Utilizing his ability to decipher ancient languages, Ye Qing quickly uncovered a solution right before his eyes. He regretted not using his observing eye earlier. If he had, he might have found the clue sooner and avoided this tough fight. At that critical moment, the monster devoured the stone tablet, triggering an ability that rendered it invincible. Frozen in place, it puzzled the hunters, who were unsure why it had stopped all movement. Ye Qing quickly identified the situation, explaining that the monster had entered an invincible mode. Just then, Lu Xingran approached Ye Qing. She proposed that her ability could momentarily freeze the monster, allowing Ye Qing to locate its vulnerable spot. Understanding the urgency and complexity of the situation, Ye Qing acknowledged her suggestion, emphasizing that no challenge could be faced alone indefinitely. He proposed a collaborative effort, urging Lu Xingran to team up with him to strategize against the creature. Encouraged by Ye Qing's confidence and determination, Lu Xingran agreed with a smile, ready to contribute her skills to the effort. Other hunters gathered around, pledging their support. Ye Qing accepted their help, uniting them in a plan to take down the monster together. He briefed them that the monster's invincibility would last for 5 seconds before it entered berserk mode, where it would rampage for 30 seconds. Their goal: survive the rampage to have a chance at victory. With everyone on board, Lu Xingran took charge, directing a warrior-class hunter to provoke the monster while instructing a mage-class hunter to target its newly formed tentacles and shield Ye Qing. Under Lu Xingran's decisive leadership, the team coordinated smoothly. Ye Qing addressed the hunters, emphasizing that the stone tablet held the key to deciphering the blood test and defeating the monsters. Their immediate goal was to retrieve it from the monster's belly. Ye Qing volunteered for the difficult task, proposing a daring plan: he would enter the monster's belly himself to retrieve the tablet. Lu Xingran was taken aback by Ye Qing's audacious idea, but before she could object, he charged directly at the monster, determined to carry out his plan. Reacting swiftly, Lu Xingran instructed the archer-class hunters to target the ceiling with their arrows. The hunters quickly complied, sending a barrage that caused large debris to crash down onto the monster, dealing damage and aiding Ye Qing's risky attempt to retrieve the tablet. Taking advantage of the distraction, Lu Xingran used her frost abilities to freeze the lower part of the monster, immobilizing it temporarily and creating an opening for Ye Qing to approach. Ye Qing possessed extraordinary regeneration abilities, allowing him to swiftly heal minor wounds and shrug off the monster's sporadic attacks. He boosted his speed and defensive maneuvers, steadily closing the distance towards the monster. However, just as he was about to reach his target, the monster suddenly launched a sneak attack that caught Ye Qing off guard, dealing a powerful blow. The sight of Ye Qing taking such a hit left everyone visibly concerned. Ye Qing felt defeated and on the verge of giving up. Despite his increased strength, he couldn't shake the feeling of being worthless, believing nothing would ever change for him. But he refused to surrender easily. He refused to remain the weakling he once was. With newfound determination, Ye Qing activated his unique recycling ability. Everyone present was astonished by Ye Qing's newfound power. In a decisive moment, Ye Qing instructed the system to recycle him. However, the system couldn't recycle its owner. Undiscouraged, Ye Qing ordered the system to forcefully eject him from its body with all its might. The system complied, propelling Ye Qing with tremendous force directly towards the monster. He pierced through its body, retrieving the precious tablet lodged within. With the stone tablet in hand, Ye Qing deciphered the ancient script inscribed upon it, unlocking the key to completing the blood trial and vanquishing all the monsters in the vicinity. The hunters erupted in celebration, filled with joy at their success in completing the trial and ensuring their safety. As the atmosphere settled, each hunter present experienced a surge in their abilities, leveling up except for Ye Qing, who remained at level 1. This outcome didn't surprise Ye Qing as he knew that his maximum level was destined to remain unchanged. Just as the hunters celebrated their victory, a treasure vault emerged from the ground, filled with magnificent treasures. Excitement filled the air as they gazed upon the valuable artifacts. However, disappointment clouded Ye Qing's face as he realized that the treasures required a minimum level of 10 to be wielded, far beyond his current level 1. He reluctantly stepped back, unable to partake in the spoils. Seeing Ye Qing's disappointment, Lu Xingran approached him and declared that he, having contributed the most to the trial's success, should distribute the treasures. Ye Qing modestly declined, insisting he desired nothing. Yet, in a hushed exchange, he confided in Lu Xingran, asking her a favor. He proposed selling the treasures to her and the Lu family, as they were wealthy and he was in dire need of funds. He also requested that she keep his true capabilities in the dungeon a secret, allowing her to take credit for conquering it instead. Lu Xingran hesitated, puzzled by Ye Qing's desire to conceal his abilities. Nonetheless, she agreed to honor his wishes. Outside the dungeon, hundreds of men in black suits, Lu Xingran's bodyguards, waited anxiously. Time ticked by as they prepared to mobilize a rescue team for their absent leader. Just as they were on the verge of action, Lu Xingran emerged from the dungeon, accompanied by the other hunters. Relief washed over her bodyguards, their tension melting away at the sight of her safe return. Amidst the joyful reunion, a news reporter approached, eager to capture the moment. He congratulated Lu Xingran on her remarkable achievement in conquering the dungeon, seemingly on her own. Remembering her promise to Ye Qing, Lu Xingran gracefully accepted the praise, proudly affirming her reputation as an S-rank hunter. Privately, she wondered about Ye Qing's peculiar request to keep his role in the dungeon's success a secret. What drove him to insist on staying in the background despite his evident skills? The mystery of Ye Qing's intentions lingered in her thoughts as the crowd celebrated their victory and safe return. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, Ye Qing sat in the center of the blood trial room, his attention fixed on the ancient tablet before him. Suddenly, a small fragment of the defeated monster emerged from the tablet. Ye Qing's face lit up with a grin as he realized the potential it held. Even this tiny creature could become a source of strength for him. With his unique ability, Ye Qing absorbed the essence of the monster, enhancing his own power. After consuming the monster, Ye Qing unlocked a new ability called Nightmare Body. This skill allowed him to summon a spectral clone fueled by life essence, capable of mimicking his actions and absorbing or dealing damage once before fading away. Excited by this discovery, Ye Qing planned to further develop and improve this ability in the future. Content with his achievements in the dungeon, Ye Qing decided it was time to leave. Later, in a quiet coffee shop, he carefully examined the items he had obtained from his adventure. However, he realized that selling high-level items might attract unwanted attention from supervisors. Deep in thought about how to proceed, Ye Qing accidentally pressed a button on his device. To his surprise, this action triggered the automatic recycling of the weapons in his possession into basic points. Ye Qing was astonished to learn that he could convert these basic points into currency for repairs and enhancements. Without hesitation, he used these points to upgrade his older equipment. Not only were his weapons repaired to perfection, but they were also enhanced beyond their previous capabilities. Ye Qing was thrilled with the results, feeling well prepared for any future challenges. With his strengthened weapons and newfound abilities, Ye Qing left the coffee shop with a renewed sense of confidence. His strategic thinking and resourcefulness had proven effective once again, ensuring he was ready to face whatever trials awaited him next. In the bustling subway of City C, a group of hunters were getting ready to explore a dungeon. Zhou Tong, a level 3 bard, greeted Ye Qing and welcomed him to their team of adventurers dubbed the Cannon Fodder. Curious about Ye Qing's role, Zhou Tong asked what he did. Ye Qing, a level 1 scavenger, replied modestly. Chen Xingdian, a level 1 mage who had been with Ye Qing earlier, introduced himself as well. Zhou Tong reassured everyone that it's normal to start at the bottom and there was no need to mock each other as they were all there to risk their lives for money, and there's nothing nobler than that. Ye Qing silently agreed, figuring this mismatched group would stick together. Zhou Tong then introduced 2 more team members to Ye Qing and stressed the need for a leader. Since he was the highest level among them, Zhou Tong appointed himself as leader. Lao Zhu, a level 2 hunter, and Lao Zhong, a level 3 hunter warrior, agreed with Zhou Tong's decision without hesitation. Just then, Rodrigo stepped forward to announce something important. He informed everyone that, alongside the 6 main members of the Blood Oath, there would be 5 temporary members joining them this time. One of the Blood Oath members cautioned Rodrigo not to speak too highly of the Cannon Fodders, describing them as bait to reduce their own risks. Rodrigo went on to explain the nature of the abyss they were about to enter, a maze filled with traps in every room. He tasked the Cannon Fodders with finding the path to the boss room as quickly as possible and returning with that crucial information for the main team. He jokingly mentioned that he didn't expect them to be skilled in combat, so if they encountered monsters, their best bet was to run away. Serious now, Rodrigo laid out the terms. For the Cannon Fodders to earn any share of the reward, at least one of them must survive. If only one made it out alive, they would claim all the rewards. At that moment, Lao Zhong asked Lao Zhu how he was feeling. Lao Zhu confessed that he couldn't hold back any longer. He had 4 daughters eagerly waiting for dinner at home, and he desperately needed the money. Lao Zhong shared that his wife was very ill and required expensive treatment, which compelled him to take the risk and join the mission for the money. After Rodrigo's instructions, the group entered the abyss. As they walked, Lao Zhong noticed Ye Qing, a newcomer, and mentioned it to Lao Zhu. Lao Zhu remarked that newcomer was common among cannon fodder groups, as few ever made it out alive from the abyss, requiring constant replacements. Lao Zhong however clarified that he meant something different. Ye Qing seemed unusually calm and confident for a cannon fodder. All 5 cannon fodders were now inside the dungeon. After a while, Zhou Tong remarked on the lack of monsters despite their long trek. Chen Xingdian nervously warned Zhou Tong not to jinx their luck. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and Zhou Tong regretted not wearing warmer clothes. As they continued, Zhou Tong accidentally triggered a trap, causing a large axe to swing down. Ye Qing reacted swiftly, saving Zhou Tong from harm. Zhou Tong didn't realize the danger until he felt a slight bump on the head. Turning around, he saw the axe on the ground. An annoyed Chen Xingdian blamed Zhou Tong for setting off the trap, while Ye Qing quietly wondered how Zhou Tong had survived so long with such carelessness. Zhou Tong admitted luck played a big role and urged everyone to keep moving. As they moved forward cautiously, creatures covered in webs suddenly dropped from the dungeon ceiling. Zhou Tong dodged quickly but soon panicked, retreating behind the group. They cautiously observed the creatures, which unexpectedly burst into action. Demonic spiders, elite level. 5 monsters capable of spitting venom. Zhou Tong, visibly frightened, recognized them as one of his greatest fears. At that moment, Chen Xingdian activated his burn ability, hoping to scorch the spiders, but their elite strength rendered his attack ineffective. As they battled, a spider lunged towards Ye Qing, aiming to bite his leg, but he swiftly countered with a devastating kick that severed the spider's head from its body. Chen Xingdian, seeing this, grew annoyed at what he thought was Ye Qing's arrogance, dismissing him as just an ability stealer. Unfazed, Ye Qing recycled the spider's corpse, gaining an attribute point and discovering a rare material known as arcana. This arcana was a weapon that could poison opponents, boosting damage by 120% on critical hits. Intrigued, Ye Qing realized that recycling corpses could yield not only skill and job cards but also arcana cards that enhanced equipment. Meanwhile, realizing his lack of combat abilities, Zhou Tong, a level 3 bard, focused on buffing his fellow cannon fodders. However, his clumsy nature led to an unintended buff on the spiders, making them stronger. One of the buffed spiders charged at Zhou Tong, threatening his life. Reacting quickly, Ye Qing intervened and swiftly eliminated the spider with a single precise strike. Impressed by Ye Qing's prowess, the other hunters watched in astonishment as he effortlessly eliminated the remaining spiders attacking them. They were amazed that a cannon fodder possessed such formidable strength, capable of handling the monsters alone. Ye Qing quietly considered the demonized spiders' poison resistance, realizing why the quenching poison arcana was extracted from them. He understood that using such arcana on himself wouldn't show immediate effects due to their resilience, but their physical strength was remarkable. Meanwhile, Zhou Tong believed his buff had contributed to Ye Qing's newfound strength, his only ability as a bard. The spiders, having witnessed Ye Qing's skill, hesitated to attack him. Ye Qing knew their intelligence meant they wouldn't confront an unbeatable opponent, so they withdrew. The other hunters breathed a sigh of relief at the spiders' retreat, acknowledging Ye Qing's pivotal role in their survival even in the first room. Ye Qing continued recycling the slain spiders, accumulating numerous basic points. He used most of them and reserved one quenching poison card for later use. As their leader, Zhou Tong urged the group forward now that the monsters had withdrawn, cautioning them to avoid triggering any more traps. Ye Qing couldn't help but feel puzzled, knowing that the traps triggered earlier had been due to Zhou Tong's actions. As they moved deeper into the dungeon, Ye Qing spotted a hidden door leading to a new area, possibly created by the influence of the red moon, causing new branches to form. Curious and hopeful of finding valuable items, Ye Qing decided to explore this unknown territory. He summoned a blood nightmare clone of himself to join the group while he ventured into the new area alone. Upon entering, the area appeared brighter than the previous one, but Ye Qing's exploration was suddenly interrupted by a ferocious monster attack. This spider-like creature was far stronger than any he had encountered before, with thick defenses that nullified his attacks. It struck Ye Qing forcefully with its leg, sending him flying back. Using his observing eye, Ye Qing identified the creature as a brood mother, a level 20 monster. Instead of fear, Ye Qing felt excitement at encountering such a rare elite creature. If he could defeat it, there was potential to obtain valuable recyclable items. Reacting swiftly to the brood mother's web attack, Ye Qing dodged and countered with his Great Flame Explosion ability, aiming for its head. Infuriated, the monster retaliated by shooting iron-hard webs capable of lethal damage. Ye Qing realized his fire-based attacks were useless against the monster's immunity, so he switched to his dagger, delivering a critical strike that caused the brood mother intense pain. Ye Qing noticed a surprising weakness. While lower-level demonized spiders were venomous, higher-level brood mothers lacked this trait, potentially due to their focus on defense and breeding tactics. Using a poisonous dagger, Ye Qing exploited this vulnerability, causing the poison to spread rapidly through the creature's body. As the brood mother ensnared Ye Qing in its web, immobilizing him, Ye Qing activated his berserk ability. Harnessing a surge of strength, he broke free and confronted the creature head-on. With a devastating blow empowered by berserk, he caused the brood mother's body to explode in defeat. Victorious, Ye Qing gained an opportunity to enhance his berserk ability with a new card called Splattering Gore, which increased its effectiveness but came with the risk of draining his health over time. Unconcerned due to his regeneration ability, which healed him continuously, Ye Qing embraced the enhanced berserk mode. Additionally, defeating the brood mother yielded new abilities and equipment. Ye Qing opted to recycle the equipment of lesser value and kept those likely to fetch higher prices outside the dungeon. Through recycling, he acquired a new card ability called Brood Mother, allowing him to summon up to 4 evolving demonized broodlings to fight alongside him based on their combat experience. Impressed by the strength of his new ability, Ye Qing looked forward to employing it strategically in future battles. As the hunters continued exploring the dungeon, they stumbled upon a deep mine within the abyss. Inside, they found highly concentrated S-rank magic crystals, a rare discovery that could fetch a fortune. They speculated whether the crystals were influenced by the Red Moon's effects. Lao Tzu used his tool, the Eye of Argos, which marked a 60-meter radius on their map, alerting nearby adventurers to the presence of the valuable crystals. Chen Xingdian, seeing this, grew angry and called Lao Tzu stupid. He argued that with these crystals, they could live in luxury for the rest of their lives, questioning why Lao Tzu had exposed their find to others outside the dungeon. Lao Tzu calmly explained that if the hunters outside discovered they were hoarding the treasure, they would face severe consequences. Lao Zhong chimed in, reminding Chen that as cannon fodder, their role was to clear paths for higher-ranking adventurers. Dying in the dungeon would likely be dismissed as accidental, without anyone batting an eye. Chen, though irritated by their words, knew they were right. He blamed Ye Qing for weakening him by stealing his abilities. Despite losing levels, Chen was determined to earn cash and improve his gear to join the main scavenging teams. In a moment of distraction and greed, Chen contemplated sneaking some crystals out of the dungeon. Suddenly, disaster struck, a trap activated, and a laser-like beam shot through Lao Tzu's head, instantly killing him. The remaining hunters stood shocked and bewildered by the unexpected attack. The incident left them shaken and cautious as they realized the dangers lurking within the dungeon. They mourned Lao Tzu's death and contemplated their next moves, knowing they must tread carefully to survive and navigate the treacherous depths of the abyss. Meanwhile, Ye Qing focused on nurturing his newly summoned demonized broodling. Starting as a small level 1 creature, Ye Qing aimed to evolve it into a formidable level 5 demonized spider using basic points. He knew the broodling had potential to grow and assist him in battling monsters. After feeding it basic points, the broodling swiftly evolved into a silk spider and learned a new skill called spider web. On the other side of the abyss, Lao Zhong stood in shock at Lao Tzu's lifeless body on the ground. Chen Xingdian hastily claimed it was an accident, but Lao Zhong was far from satisfied. He lashed out at Chen, blaming his greed for Lao Tzu's death. Grabbing Chen by the neck, Lao Zhong angrily reminded him that Lao Tzu was the sole provider for his family, working tirelessly. Due to Chen's actions, Lao Tzu's family now faced uncertain futures. Chen Xingdian retorted, shouting that he needed money to survive outside the abyss. He mourned his fall from grace, from a higher level to working with lower-ranked cannon fodder. Lao Zhong couldn't comprehend Chen's lack of remorse. He drew his weapon, accusing Chen of being a team killer. In response, Chen defended himself, arguing that in this harsh world, power and wealth were the only measures of value. He rebelliously stated that they were all in the same struggle for survival, where sacrifices were sometimes inevitable. Amidst their argument, the hunters were startled by applause behind them. Turning around, they saw Rodrigo approaching with a sinister smile. He complimented Chen Xingdian's worldview and offered him a spot in his Blood Oath clan, mentioning they had room for one more. A member of Rodrigo's group noted that Lao Zu's body was still warm, indicating he had just died. Rodrigo brushed off Lao Zu's death as common in the deadly dungeon, where only the strong survived. He emphasized that risking one's life for money was nothing to be ashamed of, especially with the rare S-rank magic crystals appearing during the Red Moon. As Rodrigo spoke, he approached Chen Xingdian, placing a hand on his shoulder and insinuating that claiming one of the crystals required sacrificing a worthless life. Chen Xingdian trembled in fear at Rodrigo's evil words. Rodrigo's clan members drew their weapons, instructing the remaining hunters, now reduced to 4, to gather the magic crystals from the walls. They threatened to kill anyone who tried to escape. Lao Zhang warned them that triggering traps could kill them, but his pleas were ignored. Reluctantly, Lao Zhang began picking up the crystals, but just as he reached for one, he dropped to his knees, begging for mercy. He confessed he had only taken this dangerous job to pay off debts from gambling. Rodrigo mocked Lao Zhang, calling him useless. Meanwhile, Chen Xingdian contemplated escaping, but he knew Rodrigo's strength far surpassed his own. Even at full power, he wouldn't stand a chance against Rodrigo. Instead, Chen Xingdian approached Rodrigo and asked if the offer to join Blood Oath was still open. Rodrigo, momentarily forgetful, had one of his members confirm his earlier offer. Once confirmed, Chen Xingdian eagerly moved closer, only to receive a brutal kick to the head from Rodrigo. Rodrigo mocked Chen Xingdian for believing his lies, declaring him unworthy of joining his elite group. He taunted Chen Xingdian as a team killer, destined for death, and claimed his life now served only to collect crystals. Rodrigo threatened to kill all the hunters and turn them into controlled corpses to gather the crystals. Just as tensions peaked, Ye Qing's clone disappeared, and the real Ye Qing appeared. He listened to Rodrigo's threats and grew displeased. Approaching the crystals, Ye Qing confidently removed one without triggering any trap. Everyone was stunned and puzzled by this unexpected outcome. Rodrigo speculated that Ye Qing must have an extraordinarily high luck stat, possibly around 60, which prevented the traps from activating. He marveled at how a low-level player like Ye Qing could have such luck. Rodrigo's suspicion intensified when another clan member tried to take a crystal and was instantly killed by a trap. Convinced that Ye Qing possessed a rare trait related to his job, Rodrigo changed his plans. He no longer needed the other hunters. Now, only Ye Qing's luck could ensure success. Rodrigo declared his new intention to eliminate the remaining hunters. They stood helpless, caught in Rodrigo's ruthless scheme, while Ye Qing pondered his next move. Rodrigo commanded his Blood Oath members to ensure no cannon fodder escaped. Lao Zhang felt hopeless against these seasoned hunters, realizing their chances were slim. They were thinking of fleeing. Suddenly, Chen Xingdian ran away, abandoning them. Ye Qing was surprised by Chen's retreat. Now, their numerical advantage vanished, leaving them short-handed. Ye Qing, however, remained composed. He summoned 4 creatures he had recently recycled, a quartet of low-level monsters that responded to his call. Zhou Tong, initially alarmed by the sight of these creatures, relaxed as Ye Qing assured him they were allies. With a cool demeanor, Ye Qing activated his observing eye, analyzing their foes. A level 20 necromancer, a fierce level 17 berserker, 2 seasoned level 18 hunters, and a resilient level 19 paladin stood against them. Ye Qing wasn't sure how his monsters stacked up against these seasoned fighters, but he felt a glimmer of confidence in his abilities. When Ye Qing attempted to assess Rodrigo's strength, he found himself puzzled. Rodrigo's power seemed to match his own, a revelation that surprised Ye Qing and made him wary of their leader. Rodrigo admired Ye Qing's ability to control abyssal monsters, noting his unexpected skills. However, the monsters Ye Qing summoned were only level 10, much weaker than the Blood Oath members. Rodrigo instructed his team to eliminate Ye Qing's monsters without damaging the crystals. Ye Qing realized protecting the cannon fodders and fighting the Blood Oath would be tough. He urged the others to flee in Chen Xingdian's direction if they wanted to live. Lao Zhang thought Ye Qing was foolish for stalling, but he saw a chance to survive and ran. Zhou Tong, grateful to Ye Qing, promised to remember his sacrifice before running off. As they fled, misfortune struck Zhou Tong. The ceiling collapsed, blocking their path. Lao Zhang was furious, but Zhou Tong couldn't help his bad luck. They were now trapped, forced to confront the approaching Blood Oath members. On the other side, the members of the Blood Oath were locked in a fierce battle against Ye Qing's minions. One of the Blood Oath members was about to strike down a minion when it shot sticky webbing from its mouth, catching the hunter off guard. Seizing the opportunity, Ye Qing attacked the distracted hunter with his dagger, but the skilled warrior managed to block the blow just in time. "I'm a level 19 paladin," the hunter declared confidently, "much stronger than your level 1 self. You can't defeat me." With a swift move, the paladin attempted a shield bash, but Ye Qing agilely dodged the attack. Knowing his level 10 spiders could only disrupt their ranks but not defeat them outright, Ye Qing strategized quickly. Ye Qing dashed behind the paladin with incredible speed and slashed at his legs with his dagger. He was moments away from finishing the paladin off when 2 other hunters intervened, firing arrows at Ye Qing. To everyone's surprise, Ye Qing managed to dodge and block each arrow skillfully. The hunters were amazed at his speed and reflexes. Taking advantage of the distraction caused by the arrows, Ye Qing unleashed his Great Flame Explosion ability, causing the ground to erupt beneath the hunters. They narrowly evaded the fiery blast, realizing that dealing with Ye Qing was going to be much more challenging than they had anticipated. Just as Ye Qing's monsters seemed overwhelming, a berserker stormed in and began attacking them fiercely. With swift and powerful strikes, he swiftly dealt with the monsters and then turned towards Zhou Tong and Lao Zhang, intending to finish them off. Zhou Tong thought it was the end, but just as the berserker was about to strike him down, Lao Zhang stepped in, using his shield to block the attack. He blamed Zhou Tong for their predicament, urging him to stand and fight. Before Zhou Tong could respond, the berserker launched another attack. Lao Zhang tried to defend with his shield, but the blow was too strong, knocking him backwards. The berserker advanced towards Lao Zhang to deliver the final blow. In a moment of resignation, Lao Zhang shouted defiantly that he was prepared to die, finally free from his burdens and debts. The berserker raised his sword to strike, but suddenly found himself unable to move. Confused, he looked back and saw that Zhou Tong had immobilized them both with his ability. Zhou Tong, struggling to control his powers, mistakenly froze not only the berserker but also Lao Zhang. Meanwhile, Ye Qing observed the scene with confusion, unsure of what was happening. As Ye Qing watched the battle, a necromancer approached and warned him about the limits of his powers despite their strength. Ye Qing realized summoning his minions had drained a lot of his mana. He quickly drank a mana potion from his bag to replenish his energy, which puzzled the necromancer. The necromancer scoffed at Ye Qing's potion, remarking that even with restored mana, it would be too late to save him. Disregarding the necromancer's saying, Ye Qing used his ability to absorb and recycle the corpses summoned by the necromancer. Confused, the necromancer watched his undead minions disappear. With his mana fully restored, Ye Qing swiftly attacked the necromancer, landing a solid blow to his face. Watching from the sidelines, Rodrigo, impressed by Ye Qing's tactics, took an interest in him. However, Ye Qing disagreed with Rodrigo's ruthless approach of sacrificing lives for gain. Offended by Ye Qing's stance, Rodrigo dismissed him as mere cannon fodder, asserting that only ruthless individuals could thrive in the harsh world. He declared that those opposing him would perish in the dungeon, and that one side would emerge victorious while the other would be destroyed. Ye Qing chuckled when Rodrigo threatened him and said he didn't understand his words. Ye Qing believed everyone should enter and leave the abyss safely. Rodrigo mocked Ye Qing's optimism and immediately attacked with a powerful punch, knocking Ye Qing back. Ye Qing realized Rodrigo was the strongest opponent he had faced. Unbothered, Rodrigo attacked again, but Ye Qing dodged his blow. Rodrigo shouted that nothing could stand against his strength. Their battle intensified, each trying to prove themselves in the dangerous abyss. While on the other side, just as Zhou Tong's spell began to fade, the berserker broke free and lunged at him, intent on finishing him off before he could cast it again. Just as the berserker swung his sword towards Zhou Tong, Lao Zhang intervened, grappling the berserker from behind. He urged Zhou Tong to act quickly while he had the berserker restrained. Before Zhou Tong could react, however, the berserker overpowered Lao Zhang, tossing him aside and slashing his sword across Lao Zhang's stomach. Lao Zhang cried out in pain, calling desperately for Zhou Tong's help and reminding him of his role as their leader. Zhou Tong's mind raced back to when he had insisted on leading their ragtag group, believing his level 3 bard skills made him the best choice. He had hoped leadership would spare him from direct combat and hide his incompetence. Now, on his knees before the berserker, he begged for mercy, admitting his weakness and pleading for his life. Memories flooded Zhou Tong's mind of his previous failures in another team. He had been ridiculed for his inability to inflict damage and criticized for his buff spells often going awry. Eventually, his teammates had expelled him, leaving him feeling worthless and alone. Reflecting on these memories, Zhou Tong recalled sitting alone on the dungeon steps when Rodrigo approached him. Rodrigo had asked about his abilities, and Zhou Tong had reluctantly admitted to being just a level 3 bard. To Zhou Tong's surprise, Rodrigo had extended an invitation to join their dungeon raid, offering him a chance for redemption and adventure. In the midst of their battle, Ye Qing found himself outmatched by Rodrigo. A powerful blow slammed Ye Qing against the wall, leaving him reeling from the impact. Rodrigo then unleashed a technique learned from the martial artist Kang Longjun, designed to inflict continuous damage to vital organs. If Ye Qing used magic now, the injury would worsen, possibly leading to his sudden death. It was a devastating combat move, capable of crippling even the most skilled magic users. Fortunately, Ye Qing managed to dodge the lethal strike just in time. Now on the defensive, he had to quickly devise a strategy to counter Rodrigo's relentless attacks. He knew he couldn't afford to make any mistakes against such a formidable opponent. As Ye Qing evaded Rodrigo's relentless pursuit, he searched for an opening to turn the tide of battle. With every dodge and parry, he calculated his next move carefully, trying to outwit Rodrigo's aggressive fighting style. In the midst of their intense battle, Ye Qing suddenly noticed something and urgently called out to Zhou Tong. But before he could finish his call, Rodrigo closed in on Ye Qing with a devastating attack that sent him flying back, crashing near Zhou Tong. Lying on the ground, Ye Qing spoke to Zhou Tong, emphasizing that dwelling on past weaknesses and hoping for pity from others was futile. Ye Qing understood Zhou Tong's struggles deeply. He too had yearned for power more than anyone, grappling with his own shortcomings while battling monsters. Despite feeling useless at times, Ye Qing never considered running from challenges. He told Zhou Tong that fear of physical weakness was insignificant compared to the danger of a weak spirit. Ye Qing shared how he faced countless life-threatening situations and often found himself overpowered, but he never gave up. Despite his physical limitations, his resolve remained unwavering. He likened himself to a king in the making, despite his humble beginnings as a trash picker. Zhou Tong listened intently to Ye Qing's words. He pondered his own situation, realizing that without strength, he would not survive. He vowed not to hide behind teammates anymore but to grow stronger for himself. He resolved to no longer shy away from challenges but to forge his own path to strength. Upon hearing Zhou Tong's declaration, the berserker scoffed and mocked him, claiming that a mere level 3 support could never penetrate his level 17 armor, no matter how hard he tried. But in that moment, a fire ignited within Zhou Tong. Determination surged through him like never before. He discarded his sword and grasped a microphone, shouting into it to activate his special ability. The air around them crackled with newfound power as Zhou Tong's ability surged, greatly boosting Ye Qing's strength beyond what anyone expected. Witnesses were stunned by Zhou Tong's unexpected display of power, except for Ye Qing, who had anticipated the outcome. With a smile, Ye Qing proclaimed Zhou Tong to be the greatest support he had ever encountered. Empowered by Zhou Tong's ability, Ye Qing accessed his own unique skill, inspiration, which amplified all his skills and attributes to unprecedented levels. With a swift command, Ye Qing summoned a blood nightmare, a dark creature that morphed into a perfect replica of himself. The clone immediately lunged at the berserker, entwining itself around his body. The berserker's confident demeanor turned to fear-stricken screams as the blood nightmare tightened its grip, squeezing the life out of him. The berserker writhed in agony as the relentless grip of the blood nightmare tightened around him, each second bringing him closer to his demise. The dungeon echoed with his cries, marking the swift turn of fortunes brought by Zhou Tong and Ye Qing's coordinated assault. At that moment, Rodrigo launched a powerful attack towards Ye Qing, but with Zhou Tong's buff enhancing his magical regeneration, Ye Qing managed to evade the blow. The increased magic in his body allowed him to heal faster from Rodrigo's earlier damage, making the fight against Rodrigo less hard than before. Sensing an opportunity, Ye Qing activated his berserk mode and unleashed his ability, splattering gore, aiming directly at Rodrigo. The devastating attack shattered Rodrigo's armor, much to his shock. He couldn't believe a level 1 like Ye Qing could breach his defenses. Ye Qing knew the attack's special effect ignored armor, but it came at a cost. Each use accelerated his blood loss. He resolved to end the fight swiftly before his condition worsened. Rodrigo remained unfazed, intrigued that a mere level 1 trash picker could challenge him. Determined not to be overshadowed in skill, Rodrigo launched a powerful punch that landed squarely on Ye Qing's frame. He taunted Ye Qing, emphasizing the stark difference in their strength and boasting about his preference for pure destructive power over more weaker styles. With a surge of determination, Rodrigo unleashed his signature move, the instant kill heavy breaking punch, propelling Ye Qing through the air. Yet, undeterred by the forceful impact, Ye Qing swiftly regained his footing. Rodrigo laughed at Ye Qing's resilience, asserting his dominance and prowess. Ye Qing, unfazed by Rodrigo's taunts, focused all his remaining energy into bolstering his strength. Instantly, his muscles visibly swelled as his strength surged to new heights. Rodrigo charged at Ye Qing, undeterred by Ye Qing's increased strength, confident that he could still overpower him. He unleashed a powerful attack, but at the same moment, Ye Qing retaliated with equal force. Their attacks collided, yet Ye Qing's proved superior, sending Rodrigo hurtling backwards with his hands visibly damaged. Shock registered on Rodrigo's face as he realized someone could match his power. Unbothered by Rodrigo's astonishment, Ye Qing pressed forward, relentless in his assault. He informed Rodrigo that there was no time to be surprised, as the battle was about to end. Ye Qing seized Rodrigo by the head, ready to deliver the finishing blow. Rodrigo flashed back to 8 years ago when he was just a low-ranking member among hunters. They often made him clean equipment dirtied from battling monsters. One senior hunter laughed at Rodrigo's aspirations, reminded him of the rule among the lion-hearted hunters: the weak were only fit for menial tasks like shining shoes. To earn his place as an official member, Rodrigo had to prove himself worthy. Another hunter chuckled, joking that Rodrigo seemed destined to remain cannon fodder forever. Determined to prove them wrong, Rodrigo worked tirelessly to climb out of the novice ranks. But during one monster battle, despite his determination, Rodrigo faced a creature too powerful for him. He bravely confronted it, but was quickly overwhelmed and left severely injured. In the aftermath, Rodrigo found himself in a lab, surrounded by doctors assessing his extensive injuries: a shattered mandible, 8 broken ribs, pierced heart and liver, and damaged kidneys. The medical equipment on him hinted at advanced abyssal technology, capable of using magic crystals to extract and transplant cells from abyssal creatures into human bodies. One doctor, noting Rodrigo's DNA similarity to monsters, delivered both good and bad news: he could survive, thanks to the abyssal technology, but at the cost of no longer being fully human. Rodrigo had become a hybrid, part human and part monster. The doctor's laughter sounded bitter as he revealed this startling truth to Rodrigo. Following his recovery, Rodrigo was escorted to the chamber of the Lionheart clan's leader. Standing before the formidable leader, Rodrigo was informed that he had proven himself worthy of becoming an official member. The leader handed Rodrigo a badge, symbolizing his new status within the clan, but also made it clear that Rodrigo was now an auxiliary and servant to the leader. Grateful yet puzzled, Rodrigo asked about his teammates. To his dismay, the leader revealed that he had disposed of Rodrigo's entire team, deeming them useless. Shocked and betrayed by this revelation, Rodrigo struggled to comprehend the harsh reality. With a cold demeanor, the leader explained that in this world, the weak were destined to be swallowed up unless they could prove their worth. They would be treated as disposable, mere trash to be discarded. In that crucial moment, Rodrigo's memories flooded back, snapping him back to consciousness. With a surge of determination, he unleashed his full power. His defense, speed, and destructive capabilities surged far beyond their previous limits. Grasping Ye Qing's hand, Rodrigo delivered a devastating blow that sent Ye Qing reeling backward. Rodrigo's body, enhanced by transplanted monster organs and fueled by absorbed magic crystals, tapped into unprecedented power. The pure magic crystals were especially potent under the Blood Moon's influence, synergizing perfectly with Rodrigo's transformation. Consuming the crystals, Rodrigo's strength skyrocketed, surpassing even the dungeon's boss level. The system recognized his transformation, now marking him as a boss monster rather than a mere human. With a loud roar, Rodrigo faced Ye Qing, mocking him for the path to power, giving up humanity to become a ruthless monster. He launched into an attack, hurling huge boulders at Ye Qing. Though Ye Qing tried to dodge quickly, Rodrigo's monstrous shape made it harder to avoid getting hit. Zhou Tong acknowledged Ye Qing's strength but doubted if he could match Rodrigo's sheer power. Rodrigo's punches were potentially lethal to Ye Qing. Rodrigo proclaimed that in the world of strength, the weak bow down to the strong, a harsh truth that drove him to embrace his monstrous form for power. Intent on avenging the failed mission for the magic crystals, Rodrigo targeted Zhou Tong, gripping his neck tightly. Just as Rodrigo prepared to strike, he felt a presence behind him. Turning around, he faced Ye Qing, who had powered up again by drinking another potion to restore his strength. Unable to see through Rodrigo's defenses with his observing eye skill, Ye Qing relied on his Blood Nightmare's abilities to uncover hidden insights from Rodrigo's body. Ye Qing explained that while the berserker's skills had temporarily boosted his own strength, the toll was severe, a 30-second exhaustion period. In contrast, Rodrigo's transformation blurred the line between human and monster, extending his reach even into the dungeon itself, with the abyss demanding its due from him. Rodrigo chuckled at Ye Qing's remark, insisting that his newfound power was his own achievement, unrelated to the abyss. However, at that very moment, the repercussions of tapping into dungeon energies began to manifest on Rodrigo's body. His right hand morphed grotesquely, losing its human appearance and transforming into a more monstrous form. Rodrigo, realizing what was happening, grew furious that Ye Qing's warning seemed to be coming true. In his rage, Rodrigo lunged at Ye Qing. Yet, as his body became larger and more monstrous, his agility suffered greatly. Ye Qing easily evaded Rodrigo's clumsy attacks. During the battle, Ye Qing wished he had a weapon. Suddenly, Zhou Tong shouted and threw his dagger to Ye Qing. Ye Qing caught it skillfully, now armed and prepared to seriously hurt Rodrigo. Ye Qing swiftly maneuvered behind Rodrigo, slashing his back with the dagger and dealing significant damage. Each strike was a critical hit, surprising Rodrigo. Ye Qing taunted Rodrigo, mocking his inability to keep up with someone he considered trash, despite Rodrigo's enhanced agility. Rodrigo, enraged by Ye Qing's words, warned that humiliating him would only lead to a worse fate for Ye Qing. He asserted his superiority over Ye Qing, claiming a higher existence. However, Ye Qing disagreed, seeing Rodrigo merely as a human-turned monster who had borrowed power to become stronger. Over time, Rodrigo's transformation progressed, losing more of his human form and becoming increasingly monstrous. Ye Qing observed this irreversible change, realizing Rodrigo was now fully consumed by his monstrous nature. At that moment, Ye Qing taunted Rodrigo by mentioning the abyss calling him, which only fueled Rodrigo's growing rage and monstrous transformation. He screamed in fury, haunted by memories of being treated poorly and desperate to prove his worth. Meanwhile, a message appeared before Ye Qing, presenting a challenge: defeat Rodrigo without killing him to earn a rare reward. Ye Qing hesitated, knowing it would be hard to subdue Rodrigo without causing harm, especially with Rodrigo's teammates likely to intervene. But, attracted and curious by the promise of the rare reward, Ye Qing decided to accept the challenge and face the difficult task ahead. That's all for today. If you do enjoy the video, please subscribe, like and share, and also share your thoughts in the comment section.